Thai fruits and Thai dried fruits are the biggest exporter in the world right now, which is why for the second lecture we have Inspiration Talk from Success Exporter to give you inspiration, motivation, and how we can succeed in the e-commerce market through exports. That's another E. English, e-commerce, exporting as well. So before we begin, we would like to see the beautiful faces and the handsome faces of the students from Mahidol University International College. Like yesterday, we had a group photo. Today, we would like to have another group photo. So if you could please turn on your camera, we would like to see all the faces, and we're going to take a group photo before we begin. So we're waiting for some people to turn on the camera right now. Just a moment. So before we begin, we have two amazing topics. We would like to take a group photo. This is our second day. You'll be here with us for another day. All right? Wow, everyone looks great. Okay, so I'm going to move to the side so that we can see everyone. If you're all ready, let's have another big thumbs up. Okay? Great, here we go. 3, 2, 1, smile. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. You all look great. You all look fantastic, okay? So welcome everyone, and before we begin, another gentle reminder that our True VLearn test will be on the 22nd of May 2021 from 12 p.m. all the way to 5 p.m. So make sure you remember that the test will be from only on the 22nd of May 2021 and only from noon 12 p.m. all the way to 5 p.m. So that is the gap you can take your True VLearn test. Make sure you score more than 80% in order to go into the draw and get a chance to do another test so that you can receive a certificate from the Deputy Prime Minister of Thailand, Minister of Commerce, and also internship at one of the big conglomerates such as True, TikTok, Huawei, and Exim Bank. Score more than 60% to get an e-certificate. So good luck for the test coming up on the 22nd of May 2021. Also, if you have any questions regarding our seminar, the test, anything at all, please scan the QR code that's going to appear on your screen right now. So that is our line group that you can talk to us, you can talk to your friends, you can ask any questions, send any feedbacks that you want, everything. So this is our QR code. We also have the ID line as well. If you have any questions, any feedback you would like to send to us, please do so. We know that Mahidol is very engaging, very active, very talkative, and very bright as well. So if you have anything you would like to say, any questions, any feedback, so that we can improve our seminar, please scan the QR code or add us via ID line Gen Z to be CEO 2021 so that we can improve our seminar for our future students. All right, so at 11:30 we have a whole half an hour that you can ask questions to our lecture. So we want everyone to engage in the Q&A because it's very important. And let's begin today's session right now. The first session is Digital Disruption and Digital Trend, which will be done by Mr. Jirayut Srupsrisopa, who is the co-founder and CEO of BitCup Capital Group Holding Company Limited. So I would like to give the stage right now to Mr. Jirayut.
Hello everyone, Swadee Krab. Pleasure to meet you all here today. So today we have about 3 hours to talk about the future. I promise that it is going to be the most important 3 hours that we will be spending, because by the time you guys graduate, we're going to be in another world already. We're going to be in a different world already. all the environments are changing very rapidly. All the assumptions are changing. All the values are changing. So today I would like to give a quick overview of what the future is going to look like and what we should do to prepare ourselves in the next 5 to 10 years. Um, First of all, let me share the slides. Let me give you a quick introduction about myself. Uh, my name is Top. I have been in the blockchain and cryptocurrency industry for the last 8 years. I was one of the very first person to push Bitcoin to educate everyone about Bitcoin in Thailand and eventually to legalize digital currency um, in in our country. During those 8 years, I founded two companies already. Uh, the first one was called coins.co.th. It was the very first Bitcoin wallet in Thailand to allow Thai customers to buy and sell Bitcoin 8 years ago. Back then, um, everyone thought that Bitcoin was a Ponzi scheme, like drug money, you know, dark market, toy money. So I had a lot of issues with the regulators, including the anti-money laundering officers, including the RD, Revenue Department. Even the Bank of Thailand called me in for an investigation. Um, so it was a really rough ride, uh, but in the end, Gojek acquired the group, and in the last 3 years, I have founded the second company called BitCup. Uh, in the last 3 years, BitCup has become the largest blockchain and cryptocurrency company in our country. Now we have 1,000 employees, and we're one of the fastest growing fintech company in Thailand. And hopefully by the end of this year, we will be the first unicorn, a company with a $1 billion market cap. We haven't got a unicorn yet in Thailand. Hopefully, BitCup and Flash Express would be the first two by the end of this year. And I was reading economics at school. That was my background. The key for this talk is the word exponential, right? If you could picture the exponential curve in your head, that's how the world is moving, right? The world is not moving in a linear manner. It is moving in an exponential manner, right? And since the world is developing exponentially, there are two group of people we have seen in the last 50 years: the exponential winners and the exponential losers, right? Because the world is moving exponentially. What are the exponential winners, right? If let me, before we begin this talk, let's count from 1 to 10, right? You guys know that those last 10 seconds, Apple already made 1.7 million baht within that 10 seconds. Did you guys know that within those 10 seconds, Google made 600,000 baht? These guys are the exponential winners, right? And if we were to count again from 1 to 10, do you know how much the rest of the world make? $0.002. That's the average person earned every 10 seconds, right? if you see 16 children, 19 children were born into poverty, right? Within those 10 seconds, right? 418 tons of food was wasted. So these are the exponential losers. And we can see a clear inequality happening here. The relative poverty is getting worse and worse because of the technological disruption. Right? And within this talk, in the next 10 years, the inequality is going to get much worse, right? The inequality. So we must, decide which side of history we want to be in the next 10 years. The exponential winners or the exponential losers. That's why I would like to stress the word exponential. The world is moving exponentially. Right? The world does not move in a linear manner like we thought it does. To emphasize the impact, let's give an analogy. Imagine there's this one guy, the first guy. He thinks he can improve every day. Right? He thinks he's moving forward every day. He can take 30 steps. And those 30 steps are linear steps. Right? The furthest he could go is 30 meters, right? Because every step is equal. And imagine if there is another person, another guy, right? His name is the new economy. His name is the exponential economy. His name is the world. Right? He could take 30 steps also, but these 30 steps are exponential steps. The second person could go around the world already for 26 times around the world within that same amount of time. Right? The old economy, right? If you look at the first person, the furthest he could go was 30 meters, whereas the new economy, he could go around for 26 times around the world. Right? What I'm trying to tell you here is that most of the world is moving in a linear manner. Most of the companies, most of the thinking, right? Most of the people, the exponential losers. But the actual world that we're living in, the internet century, right? The environment, the assumptions, the technological advancement, they are moving in an exponential manner. The exponential winners, Google, Apple, Facebook. And have you guys ever noticed one thing? Like in the last 50 years, wherever we go, there is, people always said this word, innovation, innovation, innovation. Right? That's the only thing we said in the last 50 years, innovation. Even, but if you notice one thing, in the last 5 to 10 years, no one said the word innovations anymore. Right? We are now saying the word disruption, disruption, disruption. And there's a reason why. Because these two words are two different things, completely two different meaning. Innovation is when you're improving on existing infrastructure, existing things, right? Incrementally, right? When you do incremental improvement on existing infrastructure, right? Existing items, that's what you call innovation. But disruption is when you do not touch the existing infrastructure, existing things, right? You have nothing to do with the existing thinking. Right? You take yourself outside the box and trying to redefine, right? Trying to create a completely new thing. Trying to think, do the first principle thinking and try to create a totally new thing that is not related to the old infrastructure or the old thinking. And once you are able to create this new thing, it is able to replace the old infrastructure entirely, right? The old legacy entirely. And it is able to function at least an order of magnitude better than the old system. And that is what we call disruption. The best example of disruption is the electric light. And do you know why the electricity is disruptive? Uh, the reason is because we don't get electric light from a continuous improvement of candles, right? If we were to innovate candles every day, we will not achieve electricity. We need to change the way we think, the way we do things, right? And the reason why in the last 50 years, everyone has been saying the word innovation, innovation, innovation everywhere. But only in the last 5 to 10 years, people started to say the word disruption, is because of this graph here. This is when we plot the first guy, the linear person, and the exponential person, right, together in one graph. You can see clearly that at the start of the graph, both the gray line and the red line are linear, right? That's the baby boomer era and the Gen X era, right? There's not a lot of changes back then. The way of life is still the same. The assumptions, the environment were, were the same. But once we move along, as the world evolves, to the inflection point on the red line, see the dotted line. The inflection point is called the internet century. That's where, the exponential effects started to kick in. Right? The world is, moving at a much faster rate after the arrival of the internet, after the arrival of computers, after the arrival of smartphones. And this is where the interception, the difference is started to happening between the Gen X and Gen Y era. Right? The assumptions, the environment, the values are starting to change. And the reason why in the last 50 years, we only said the word innovation is because both the world, the red line, and the companies are moving in a linear manner at the start. Incremental improvement, right? If you need more input, more output, you need to inject more input, right? If you need, 10 output, you need to at least, inject 10 input. One-to-one manner, right? We were moving in a linear manner in the last 50 years. But once we hit this inflection point, the internet century, this is a totally different world we are living in. That's when we started to say the word disruption, right? Because we don't improve on legacy things, legacy system. We change the way we think, we change the way we create things. And once we are able to launch, say, for example, electricity, it outperforms candles by an order of magnitude. 1,000 candle cannot compete with electric light. We can turn nights into days, right? And that's why in the last 5 to 10 years, that's when the exponential effects started to kick in. We are already living in the disruption era. Right? A lot of people have been asking, has been asking, where are we now, right? On the graph. To put this into the analogy, right? If both of these guys, the old economy and the new economy, or most of the companies versus the world, can take 30 steps. We are already at the, we have already taken 25 steps. Right? We're near the end of the curve. But as you know, the exponential curve, right? The first 25 steps only accounts for 3.1%. of all the changes. And in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, that's where the last 5 steps is going to happen. And these last 5 steps will account for 96% of all the changes that we are going to see. What does that mean? It means that in the next 10 years, by the time you guys graduate, all the wealth accumulation in the next 10 years would be more than the last 100 years, right? All the changes, all the impacts that the world is going to experience in the next 10 years is going to be more than what we have achieved in the last 100 years. Right? So do not blink, right? You guys will be surprised how fast we are moving. I think a lot of people underestimate how fast we are moving, right? And we need to decide which side of history we're going to be in, the exponential winners or the exponential losers, right? Because we're about to take these last 5 steps. And these 5 steps accounts for the majority of the impacts. To give you an example, imagine there's let's take fintech industry, right? First, have you guys heard of the company called Alipay? Alipay has been around for 6 to 7 years. It was founded in 2014, right? Alipay. And within 6 years, Alipay and WeChat managed to turn the whole of China cashless. Nobody is using cash in China already in the only 6 years, and 1.4 billion people stopped using paper money in just 6 years. And Thailand is a very small country, a population of 70 million people, smaller than one province of China. Do you think it's gonna take us 60 years to go cashless? If China took them 6 years to go cashless, 1.4 billion people. Is it gonna take us 60 years to stop using cash entirely? We are underestimating the rate of growth, right? How fast the world is moving. And there's this bank, the biggest bank in the world, called Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs has been around for 117 years, the largest bank in the world. If we were to compare Alipay, a company that has been founded for 6 years, 7 years ago, versus the biggest banks, 117 years. Which company do you think has a larger market cap? Do you guys think? A company that is founded for 6 years or the largest banks in the world, 117 years? Alipay has a larger market cap. Okay. So, Alipay doesn't care how many steps Goldman Sachs has already taken, because they know that Goldman Sachs are taking steps in a linear manner, right? But Alipay is moving in an exponential manner. Every steps that Alipay is taking is an exponential step. Within 6 years, within 7 years, they managed to, WeChat and Alipay managed to become the biggest banks in China, the biggest social banking in China, and to turn the whole country cashless. Right. Let me give you guys another example. Have you heard of a company called Tesla? I'm sure everyone must have heard of Tesla today, right, by now. If we were to put Toyota and Ferrari and General Motors together, all of these 3 companies combined has a smaller market cap than Tesla. Tesla has become the most expensive, car companies in the world, the most valuable car company in the history of America. How long has Tesla been around? 100 years? 70 years? 50 years? 40 years? 30 years? 20 years? They have only been around for 17 years. And they became the most valuable car companies in the history of America, right? So it doesn't matter how many steps Toyota, General Motors, Ferrari has taken, Ford Henry, Ford Motors uh, have already taken. Those are linear steps, right? But Tesla changed the way we think. They're creating disruptive technology. They're not innovating on existing legacy. Within just 17 years, they managed to turn, candles into electric lights, completely an order of magnitude better, with the first principle thinking. Right? And these are just two examples. Let me give you a few more. Say, Facebook, right? Amazon, right? Google, Microsoft. If we were to put these four companies together, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, say 5 companies. These 5 companies combined is larger than our country, the whole of Thailand. How long have these companies been around for? Say Facebook. Has Facebook been around for 100 years? 70 years? 50 years? 40 years? 30 years? 20 years? 17 years. Just Facebook alone, the market cap is larger than all of the companies in the Thai stock exchange combined. Right? They are creating an exponential impact. Right? They are moving in an exponential manner. They are the exponential winners of the world. I'm sure a lot of you don't believe what I said, but let me share you a few data points to back up my thesis. Not thesis, facts, right? This is the first data point. Wind power cost in the last 40 years. You can see that the cost of wind power has gone down by 15 times in the last 40 years. 15 times, not 15%, right? 15 times in the last 40 years. That's how fast we're moving. Second data point, the cost of solar power in the last 40 years. You can see that the cost has gone down by 250 times. Not 250%, right? It's 250 times in the last 40 years. If you look at the year 1977, the cost was $77, right? After 40 years, 2017, it's gone down to 30 cents, not even $1. That's how fast we're moving, right? The world is moving. The world is the second person, right? They are moving in an exponential manner. Do you guys know that this phone in your pocket, smartphone, has more computing power than when we used to send a man to the moon? NASA, right? 1969, Apollo mission, right? When NASA sent a man to the moon in 1969, they used less computing power than what we have in our pocket. Imagine that. Because computer chip is more powerful and more powerful every year. But it is getting smaller and smaller, the computer chips, but they're getting more and more powerful. Not just that, look at the cost. In 2009, the cost of a computer chip was $20,000. 5 years, fast forward 5 years, 2014, the cost has gone down to $79. 250 times cheaper in 5 years. I think a lot of us are underestimating how fast the world is moving, how fast everything around us is moving. Right? You'll be surprised by the next 10 years, how fast that we're moving. And, you know, technology builds on technology, right? That's why all the inventions are coming out in a rapid, rate, because technology is built on technology. Once we have computer chips that are getting smaller and smaller, but more and more powerful, we are able to build iPads, smartphones, right? Eventually, smart glasses. And if the chips are getting more and more powerful, Moore's law, right? Uh, every 2 years, the computing power would double the performance. We will have the IoTs, the Internet of Things, soon, in the next 10 years. So do not underestimate what advanced technology can do. Have you heard of this word statement? Advanced technology is undistinguishable from magic. And if we were to go back in time 100 years ago, in 1920, that's when the First World War just ended. The soldiers are traveling back home in a train, right? And if we were to able to teleport back 100 years ago, right? And we can bring this with us, phone with us. And if we were to show the soldiers 100 years ago what we can do with this phone, we would probably get arrested from doing magic, right? For example, if we go to Skype, Zoom, and we show the soldiers 100 years ago that you can talk to another person across the world and you can see their faces, you're gonna shock them. Right? You're gonna shock the soldiers. Right? It's even beyond their imagination. It's not even in their science fiction back then. Right? Human cannot even imagine that we can achieve this. But today we take this technology for granted. Everyone has access to magic already. So my point is, in the next 10 years, whatever is in our science fiction, there will become our new reality, right? Do not underestimate what we can achieve in the next 10 years. I think the biggest crisis of humanity right now is we think too small. We need to think bigger, because the technologies can achieve magic in any generation. We need to think big. Right? Lack of imagination, that this is our greatest crisis right now. In the next 10 years, I hope you guys, when you guys graduate, you think big. You do not limit your imagination. We can achieve, you'll be surprised by how much we can achieve in the next 10 years, because we're at the last 5 steps. And since we're moving, in an exponential manner, it creates exponential winners, right? We see the likes of Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft. But at the same time, it also creates exponential losers. This shows, there's this data point that shows that the old economy has a shorter and shorter lifespan. during the Industrial Revolution era, during the baby boomer to Gen X transition, the average age of a company in the stock exchange was 75 years. Right? That's the average age. And once the world hit this inflection point called the Internet century, the average age of a company, of a 500 Fortune, S&P 500 companies, has gone down to 7 years, from 75 years. Imagine if you guys are the CEOs, and it used to take us 5 years for R&D, research and development, right? Pilot test, sandbox. Back then it was okay because the lifespan was 75 years on average. You can take 5 years for R&D because you have another 70 years of implementation. The world doesn't change very much back then. Right? It didn't change very much. But imagine if you guys are the CEOs, and it's still gonna take us, say, 5 years for R&D, but the average lifespan has gone down to 7 years. We really only have 2 years of implementation, right? So we cannot afford to take the same amount of time for R&D, for experimentation. We need to move faster, right? We need to act now. The most expensive currency in the world is time. Since the old business models are getting disrupted, I would like to share with you the 5 phases, right, of the business models, the 5 different layer of businesses based on the monopoly power, based on the ability to control the economics, right? Say if you look at the first layer, the content layer, content business. Back then, content businesses were very powerful, right? Channel 3, Channel 9, right? TV stations, they were very powerful because contents were limited. There's only a few channels: television, radio, newspapers. They are able to achieve a monopoly status, and they were able to produce tons of profits. But after the arrival of the internet, it creates digital abundance, right? The internet. Now we can pretty much copy content. We can reproduce content. We can create content easily. So now the media companies are down on the bottom of the food chain, right? They lost all the monopoly power. They have no control of the market. What is a bit better is the second layer, the companies that produce products and services. I would like to tell you guys that most of our companies in Thailand are stuck here in the second layer. If you were to think of any companies in your head right now, I can guarantee you that the companies that you think in your head right now either produces a product or service. Most of the companies, all of the companies in the Thai stock exchange are stuck here, second layer. But if you see, most of the fastest growing companies in the last 10 years in America, in the stock exchange of America, 10 years, 20 years. They are already on the third layer, the platform business, the bridge, right? For example, Facebook is one of the fastest growing companies in the last 20 years, right? Facebook has become the largest media company without owning any content, without producing any content themselves, without any writers themselves. They became the largest, right, publishing company, media company in the world. So they are producing a strong bridge, and they resist the temptation to be on any end of the bridge, right? Where they don't produce services or product themselves. They are a platform business. Uber, Grab, right? Uber and Grab, they have become the largest, taxi company in the world without owning a taxi themselves, any taxis themselves. Amazon, Lazada, Shopee, Alibaba, right? They became the largest supermarket in the world without any warehouse or selling products themselves. They are the bridge, the strong bridge, and they resist the temptation to go on the either end of the bridge. Airbnb, they became the largest hotels chains in the world without owning any hotels themselves. So what do you guys think is going to be the largest universities in the world, right? The largest universities in the world are going to be the universities with no professors, with no content of its own. What do you guys think is going to be the largest financial company in the world? What is going to be the largest financial companies? The largest financial companies in the world are going to be the companies with no money, right, themselves. They will create a flow of funds, right, a platform, without owning the money themselves, a platform business. And in the last 20 years, most of the fastest growing companies are the platform business. They are able to lock in the network effects. Facebook, Amazon, Airbnb, Uber, Grab, right? All these platform businesses. Sad but true, right? Most of our companies in Thailand are stuck on the second layer, product and services. We have been stuck on this middle income trap in the last 20 years. We need a new hope, right, to move up on the food chain. You know what is more powerful than a platform business? A more powerful type of business is what we call the ecosystem, right? The fourth layer. A good example is WeChat of China. Right? WeChat is a ecosystem business. They're not just operating a platform. They are operating an ecosystem business. What is an ecosystem business? It is ecosystem is when you are able to achieve multiple locked-in platforms in one place. So instead of building one bridge, you can build multiple bridges, and you can own all the bridges without the temptation to go on any end of the bridge, right? Be in one place. For example, WeChat. WeChat is the largest taxi company in the world without owning a taxi. Right? You can order a taxi in WeChat. WeChat has become the largest banks in China without owning any cash themselves. WeChat has become the largest communication company, content, media company without owning any content. So they are able to create multiple locked-in network within one app. That is very powerful, right? And you can only have one ecosystem per country. It's really hard to compete with WeChat. It's too late. Let's give you, say, if I were to give you $100 trillion, Do you think you could create another Facebook? Hi, if I can give you any money in the world, do you think you can create another WeChat and compete with them? It's already too late, right? They created the multiple locked-in network. They are the monopoly. It's like Coca-Cola. I can give you $100 trillion. You cannot create another Coca-Cola in the world, right? In the world, they are able to already achieve the monopoly status. And this is the data. S&P 500 companies in the past decades, 10 years ago. If we were to look back, I don't know if you guys, if you look at on the right hand side first, have you guys heard of Kodak? I don't know if you guys have heard of Kodak. Compaq, right? These were big companies, right? Huge companies. Within just 10 years, enter Facebook, enter Netflix, enter Google, right? Most of the fastest growing companies in the last 10 years are the platform business or the ecosystem business or the operating system, third layer, fourth layer, and the fifth layer. All the second and the first layers are losing, right? Losing their market cap. Shorter and shorter lifespan. Right? Companies like Kodak. I need to ask if you guys know Kodak already in just 10 years, 20 years. You can see that the monopoly power is changing. It's moving up the ladder. Right? You don't want to be on the bottom of the food chain. Question is, what is the next business model of the future, right? You start to question the assets that you think are companies' assets, right? Because Alibaba has become the largest supermarket in China without owning any stocks themselves, right? Without owning any warehouses, inventory, without owning any inventory themselves. Airbnb has become the largest, accommodation hotel chain in the world, without owning any hotel rooms themselves. So you need to think of the next most disruptive business model without owning X asset yourself. Right. And once you are able to do third layer, second layer, third layer, fourth layer, and the fifth layer type of businesses, you can achieve a $1 billion valuation very easily. For example, BitCup, my company, we are one of the fastest growing financial companies in Thailand without owning any money ourselves, right? We just create flow funds. And if you are able to produce, exponential growth companies with third layer, fourth layer, and fifth layers businesses, right, you can grow exponentially, moving at a much faster and faster rate. Jeff Bezos took him 20 years to take Amazon from his garage to become one of the largest companies in the world. 20 years. Facebook took less time, 10 years, half of what Jeff Bezos did. Airbnb, Uber, Grab, 6 years to become a unicorn. Took Airbnb 3 years to become a unicorn. Half of that time, half of Uber's time. Have you guys heard of Clubhouse? Clubhouse has become a unicorn in 8 months. Nice. We were able to achieve a $1 billion valuation at a much faster rate. And there's a reason why. The reason is because, our previous generations already created the existing infrastructure we can tap on. We can free ride on the existing infrastructures, right, and save cost and time. Most importantly, time. For example, Amazon, right? When Jeff Bezos built Amazon, back then there were no internet infrastructure or very poor internet infrastructure. It was the start of the internet century. Most of the people cannot get access to the internet. I don't know. Have you heard of a modem? We used to pray. We used to hope that we can, connect the internet back then. Um, what does that mean? It means the potential market cap of Amazon was very small. Not every household got access to the internet. Right? AT&T hasn't invested for Jeff Bezos yet. There were no smartphones. There were no cloud computing. Right? Amazon has to scale in a linear manner. They had to reinvest in private servers to grow the company. Right? And that's why it took them 20 years to become a unicorn. And if you look at Facebook, when Facebook was founded, Mark Zuckerberg was in his dorm room at Harvard dorm room, right? Back then, most of the world got access to the internet already, right? We have a broadband internet. That means the potential market size of Facebook is much larger than Amazon when Amazon was first founded. There was the smartphones, 10 years into Facebook's creation. Uh, then people like Steve Jobs invested for Mark Zuckerberg, right? Mark doesn't need to open any shop, any branches for us to get on Facebook because everyone has a smartphone. Save him a lot of investment, right? And time. And Jeff Bezos already invested in cloud computing for Mark Zuckerberg, AWS. Facebook can scale as fast as they like without having to reinvest their profit into a private server. For if you talk about Uber, Airbnb era, it's even faster because we Airbnb, Uber, they don't need to invest anything themselves. They have 4G internet, broadband internet, right? Zero investment on them by Airbnb or Uber. They have smartphones, they have cloud computing, they have social media to get access to customers. Right? And that's why we can achieve, success at a much faster rate. And these are a few data. Uh, Data that I would like to show you guys. Market cap to $1 billion, right? The increasingly crowded unicorn club. As we move further along the timeline, there are more and more unicorns, especially after 2008, the invention of the smartphone. Smartphones created billions of dollars, $1 billion companies, a lot of $1 billion company. And we're getting more and more unicorns because we can do, business easier and easier because our existing generation already invested everything for us. We don't need to invest anything ourselves. For example, when I founded BitCup, right? I don't need to invest in the internet. All the customers got access to the internet already. Zero investment on my end, right? I don't need to invest in smartphones because everyone has a smartphone to get access to BitCup. Right? So I don't need to open any branches because everyone has access to smartphones. I don't need to invest in cloud computing. I can use AWS. Right? I can scale as quickly as as we want. I don't need to invest in gathering people in one place, social media, right? I can do a quick marketing campaign and everyone would know about BitCup. Everyone is concentrated in one place, social media. So, that's why we can achieve success at a much faster rate, because our previous generation already invested everything for us. But what is the fifth, most powerful businesses going forward? It's not going to be a platform business. It's not going to be an ecosystem business, but it is actually going to be the exponential operating system business model. They have the full monopoly power. Think of Microsoft, right? Operating system, where all the computers are on Microsoft. Think of Apple iOS system, right? Operating system. Think of Google search engine, right? Optimization. To illustrate the points, let me clarify these two words: collaboration and coordination. These are two different words, two different meanings. One trend that we notice when the world is moving forward is that for any type of industry that you are in, this trend is the same. Back then, there are not a lot of transactions in whatever industry, right? There were only a few transactions, but once the transaction occurred, the ticket size is huge. Big ticket size, low frequency, right? That's the trend in the past. But once the world evolves, there's the arrival of the computers, internet, or smartphones. You can see this trend that now the number of transactions, right? The frequency is much higher, but the ticket size is a lot smaller, right? For any industry that you're in, we can see this trend. We're doing a lot more transactions per day, but the transaction themselves, the ticket size is smaller. And if we see this trend, we have to move from the collaboration system to the coordination system, right? To illustrate the points, let's look at this video. Can you guys see the video on your screen? This is the street of San Francisco in 1896, 200 years ago. Can you guys see any automobiles? Can you guys see any car? Once in a while, you see a car, right? There's only 800 cars, right? Mostly horses, railroads, cows, horses, right? Once in a while, you see the automobile, a car. This is the collaboration system. What is collaboration, right? Okay, your turn. You can cross over the road now. Car, right? Horses, cow, railroads. We can communicate and we can collaborate because there are not a lot of transactions, right? And not a lot of frequencies. Only a few transactions. Right? So in 1896 there were 8,000 cars. Fast forward now, there are 8 million cars. So we have to move from collaboration to coordination in order to avoid accidents. Right? What is a coordination system? Look at this coordination system. Because we have 8 million cars, right? No horses, railroads. And the reason the way we can achieve, And the way we can operate, the way we can avoid accidents is to move from collaboration, communicate, oh, you go and I go, to coordination system. What is a coordination system? The traffic lights, right? Green light, I go. Red light, you stop, right? Nowadays, people don't want to collaborate. We horn at each other, we yell at each other when we drive, we hate each other when we drive. But the reason why there are no accidents is because we coordinate. We don't want to collaborate, we coordinate. But if right now everyone is coordinating, but we go back to collaboration, that's when accident is going to happen instead, right? What is in the operating? What is the operating system here when the world is more chaos? The traffic lights, right? So if you see, this is just one industry, the car industry. We are moving from collaboration to coordination as we increase the frequency of the transactions. But the world around us is moving at a much and much faster rate. So we are in a chaos world. The number of frequencies is skyrocketed, right? For example, this is another industry, emails. Back then, you guys probably never experienced this when the email first arrived. People got so excited when they received their first email because rarely there's a transaction. It doesn't happen very often, one transaction. We open up every email and we reply every email back then. But as the world evolved, when you guys open your email now, what is happening? Especially my email. I don't know if you guys have experience in this thing. I have an influx of inquiries in my inbox is bursting, right? And we don't want to collaborate anymore. The number of frequency is skyrocketed. So we have to move from collaborating to coordination. And have you guys heard of Slack? Microsoft Teams? Slack is changing the way we work from collaboration to coordination. We need to use Slack instead of emails because the transaction is crazy. Especially my company, BitCup, right? We're using Slack instead because there are a lot of things happening at the same time. We need to organize things, right? Once in a while, when the world is getting more chaos, there must be one person who step up and create an operating system for the world. Right? Steve Jobs, Nikola Tesla, Thomas Edison, right? Once in a while, Bill Gates, and you can achieve a monopoly status. Right? There can only be one Steve Jobs, one Apple, one Microsoft. Right? Exponential operating system. This is the fifth type of business that you can achieve a monopoly power. Sadly, there's no Thai companies that can achieve this in the history of our country. I think the best layer that we got up to is the third layer, BitCup, right? We are the third layer company, the platform business. And then most of the companies in Thailand are stuck on the second layer. Have you guys? And can we please turn off the mute the microphone? Sorry guys, can you please mute the microphone? Okay. Have you heard of this company before? Blockbuster. Lan Mang Pong. I don't know if you guys have heard of a Blockbuster company. Have you seen a tape, um, a CD, an MP3, Sony Walkman? I don't know if you guys were around when music was physical, or if you walk into Seven Sen, right? So the ice cream shop. Um, we used to have this music machine. You inject coins and you can select, songs. In the year 2000, right, 20 years ago, Blockbuster was a huge company. Every street must have a Blockbuster branch in almost every corner of the street. When we used to use videos and CDs and tapes, right? In the year 2000, Netflix CEO booked a domestic flight. He flew over to talk with the Blockbuster CEO. He said, Netflix CEO said, Blockbuster CEO, you are building a linear business. How long is it going to take you to conquer the world? You have to, if you need to acquire more customers, you need to open more branches. And when you open more branches, you need to stock up on videos. That is costly. You need to hire employees to look after the shop. Right? You cannot operate 24/7. There's a scarcity on the videos. You have to wait for someone else to return the videos before the new customers can book it. You're creating a linear business. CEO of Netflix said, I am creating a Blockbuster 2.0. Anyone can watch any movies, anytime, anywhere, simultaneously, in one individual platform. And I'm going to sell it to you for $50 million. Blockbuster, after the Blockbuster CEO heard this statement, he laughed out. He was despising Netflix CEO. He said, who do you think you are, right? A new company that is wanting to disrupt Blockbuster. You know how big Blockbuster is, he said. I just did a $6 billion sale this year. Like, who are you to disrupt Blockbuster? Right? This was the interview of the CEOs of Netflix. He said it was the most embarrassing day of his life. They could not get along. Right? Then he flew back to his city and hustle again. Right? Fast forward 20 years. Where is Blockbuster now? Museum, right? Fully bankrupt. What about Netflix? 20 years fast forward. I'm sure you guys have Netflix, right? Every household has a Netflix account. In 2017, the valuation of Netflix is $65 billion, 10 times worth more than Blockbusters in just 20 years. Not 20 years. If you look at the graphs from the year 2000 to the year 2010, that's when Blockbusters went bankrupt, right? Just 10 years. And that was in the, Gen X, Gen Y era. Going forward from Gen Y to millennials, or the alpha, do you think it's going to take us 10 years to go bankrupt if we stop innovating? If the previous generation, it took them 10 years to go from a $6 billion revenue to zero in 10 years. The world is moving very fast. We are underestimating how fast we're moving. This guy, his name is Steven Sasson. This guy is the person that created the world's first digital camera. This is what he looks like. And the first version of the digital camera is on the left-hand side. You can see this huge camera, almost the size of a refrigerator. What is funny about this story is that Stephen was an employee of Kodak. Do you guys know Kodak? I don't know if you got the yellow sign. I don't know if you were around, right? But Kodak was a huge company, huge camera company 20 years ago. Stephen was an employee of Kodak. And in 1975, he brought this camera to his boss, CEO. He was so excited. He said, I created the world's first digital camera. Do you know what the CEO of Kodak said to Stephen? He said, Stephen, how long have you been in the company for? Do you still not notice that our camera, is a film camera, right? It's not reusable. He said, the CEO said, our camera is not reusable. What does that mean? It means customers will need to repurchase our camera every time. Recurring revenues for us. What are you thinking? You're creating a reusable camera. How are we going to achieve more sales, right? He said, Stephen, go and hide this digital camera and never talk about it again. That was the conversation. Stephen was very disappointed. 3 years fast forward, not 10 years, only 3 years. A random company called Nokia out of Finland emerged and fully bankrupted Kodak. Right? Where is Kodak now? Museum, right? Bankrupt. In just 3 years. What does this say about the CEOs? The CEOs of Kodak and Blockbusters are the short profit maximizing CEOs. They are not the long-term visionary CEOs. Okay? And the reason why Kodak is not been around anymore is it because people take less photos today? Are we taking more photos or less photos today than in the past? We are taking way more photos, right? But how come the largest camera company cannot survive if we're taking more and more photos, way more photos? And the reason is because they stopped innovating. Right? They stopped delivering the best experience, the best products. That's why Kodak could not survive. Right? The demand has always been there. The supply equation must improve, must emerge for any industry. The demand, the consumption has never been, removed. We're consuming more things, more energy. The consumption side is emerging, but the supply equation must catch up. We must improve the way we deliver our services or products to our customers. Anything that is cheaper, faster, better would win in the long run, no matter how much market power the incumbent has. What I've been saying in the last, hour is change, right? We need to change our thinking. We need to adapt. We need to move fast. It is easy to say, but it is harder to do. Because as human, we don't like change. We're scared of change. We don't like change. This is in our deeper, we have a pattern, right? And anything that distorts our pattern, we hate change as a nature, human nature. But it is the most important thing, change, in the next 10 years. because the world is moving, can only move faster. So what is going to be the most important skills when you guys graduate? The most important skills is not IQ. The most important skill in the next 10 years is not EQ, but the most important skill is an AQ, right? Adaptive quadrant, the ability to unlearn the old assumptions, and the ability to relearn the new assumption. That is the most critical skill, from the CEOs to the lowest level staff, right? And AQ is the most important skill, because in the next 10 years, it's gonna seem like we're living in a different world. We can only change it at a much faster rate, right? To illustrate my points, that change is hard. I mean, it's easy to say, but harder to do. This is a bicycle, right? As you see in the photo. But this is not a normal bicycle. This person, right, on the right, on your right hand side, is called Stanley, right? He created a bicycle that if you turn your handle to the left, the wheel would go to the right instead. And if you turn the wheels handle to the right, it would turn left. The bicycle would go left in the opposite direction, right? Stanley created this abnormal bicycle. And this is the challenge that he hosted. For anyone that can ride this bike in a straight, in a linear manner, then he would reward the individual $500. Let's see in the video. Right, this is Stanley, right, the guy with a pen, and he challenged anybody to ride the bike in a straight line. Look what happens. When you turn left, right, the wheel would go to the right, and when you turn the handle right, the bicycle would turn left. Right, Sydney, Australia, another person. Stanley is the guy with the blue shirt. Dustin Stanley, that's his full name. Dustin Stanley. Nobody could ride this bike. Nobody could ride this bike. It's hard to change, right? Once we learn how to ride a bike. Yeah. Sandy has to practice every day for 45 minutes every day. Guess how long it took him to be able to ride this bike? 10 months. He has to practice every day for 45 minutes each day for 10 months to be able to ride this bike. And this is Sandy. Look at him. Even though he has practiced for 10 months, 45 minutes, he still struggles to ride this bike in a straight line. Right, this is Stanley. Turn left, go right, turn right, it goes left. See the bicycle. And he can't even ride like in a professional manner. It's hard to change. But he has a son. His son is less than 5 years old. Guess how long it took him to ride this bike? 2 weeks. Because his son doesn't need to unlearn the old assumption, right? He did not know how to ride a bike before, right? It's hard to unlearn the old beliefs, right? The old action that used to give us rewards. But it is the most important thing in the next 10 years, the ability to unlearn the old things and the ability to relearn the new things. Look at Stanley. Once he can ride this new bike, and he goes back to ride the old bike, the normal bike. Look at Stanley. This is a normal bike. You can't even go back to ride a normal bicycle. Like, oh, it looks funny already. See, it messed him up already. So he probably need another 10 months to unlearn and relearn how to ride a normal bike again. It's very hard, right? See? It's you can't ride, two opposite bikes at the same time. It looks funny already when he goes back and ride a normal bike. He's shaking. And what I'm trying to tell you guys here is that, as human being, we hate change. It's hard to when we get on a bike and it rewards us in the past. When you turn the wheel, when you turn the handle to the left, it goes left. When you turn the handle to the right, it goes right. Once you achieve success, it is really hard to become an amateur again, right? The lightness of becoming the amateur again. It's you don't want to look funny like Stanley again when you practice a new way of riding a bike. You don't want to take opposite actions. But in the next 10 years, the bicycle is a different model already. When you turn left, it goes right. When you turn right, it goes left. This is the new bicycle in the next 10 years that you must be able to ride. Right? You must be able to unlearn the old assumption and relearn the new assumptions. Another way to put this is, say if you are the winner of a game, any game, the prerequisites is that you must know the rules of the game well. No one can be the winner without knowing the rules of the game clearly, right? And have this right strategy. Sorry, one moment. Say if you are the winner of any game, right? The prerequisite is to learn to understand the rules of the game clearly. And imagine if all of a sudden, right, all the rules of the game change. And if you still stick to the old rules, are you going to become the winner? You're not going to be the next winner is going to be the one that is able to unlearn the old rules and relearn the new rules, right? That's how the world works. In the next 10 years, we will have a new rules, new assumptions, new beliefs, new values, right? And those that are able to learn the new rules will be the new winner in the next 10 years. Right. In the next 10 years, I think every company must have a chief adaptability officer for all the employees in the companies to unlearn and relearn the way we do things. Right? We must have operating systems within the way we work, and a lot of experiments because we are moving very fast. And that is why we have this word startup, right? And I think this is the most misconception that we have in a startup community. The meaning of this word. People misunderstand this word. When the world is moving so fast, we must create a startup. We cannot create a company. We cannot create an SMEs. If we, if we were to ask anyone around us, what is a startup? Most likely, they would say, oh, a startup is a small company that has only a few employees, that has been around for only a few years, that it can achieve only a minority sales and very small, right? Limited resources. Most of us mixed up, right? Startup with an SMEs. SMEs are the smallest companies, a few employees, it's been around for not very long, limited resources, but not a startup, right? This is the actual meaning of a startup. A startup is a company that has two things: a repeatable business model and a scalable business model. Right? Let me repeat again, right? A startup is a company that has two things: a repeatable and a scalable business model. Any companies that can achieve a repeatable and a scalable business model, we can call them a startup. It doesn't depend on the number of employees. It doesn't depend on the sales or limited resources or how long the company's been around. It's the nature of the business, more like the nature. And usually, if you can achieve level 3, layer 3, layer 4, level 5, uh, layer 4, layer 5 business models, you must create a startup. A scalable bridge, right? Bridge, a platform, an ecosystem, an operating system. Usually, layer 3, layer 4, layer 5 are startup businesses because it is a scalable business model, right? How is a platform business a scalable business? Because Airbnb doesn't need to build any hotels. It's a scalable business, right? Facebook doesn't need to create its own content. Right? Airbnb, Uber doesn't need to own any taxis. It's a scalable business model. But most of us are stuck in level 2 in Thailand. SMEs either produce products or services. It's not scalable, right? If you need to achieve more products, you need to input more, right, materials. If you need to achieve more services, you need to input more human capital. It's not scalable. We need to produce things ourselves. We're stuck in layer 2, or worse, layer 1. Right? Whereas other countries, they are moving along the food chain already, moving up the food chain. And this is the slides that I borrowed from Eric Schmidt, the ex-chairman of Google. He created this himself. Eric was has a lot of he used to have a lot of ego. This guy, because he achieved extreme success at a very young age. But when he joined Google as the CEO, he said he lost all his confidence around the world. Right? He thought he knew everything about business. He talked to Jonathan. He said he thought he was a well-trained executive. He said he thought he realized he understand all the business assumptions. Once he joined Google as the CEO, he looked himself in the mirror and he said, "What is different now?" Right? From the Industrial Revolution era to the Internet century, era. What is different now? So and this is his summary. Right? If you look at the first assumption, he said all the world's information and media is online. That is different from the previous world when he was born. Have you guys seen a Yellow Pages before? Probably have never heard of a Yellow Pages by now, right? I've seen Yellow Pages. Before, it was really hard to find information. Imagine the world without the internet. Right? Imagine the world without the internet. The information was asymmetric, imperfect, right? A lot of business secrets. Even phone numbers, you have to use yellow pages. Right? How can you find other information? Even numbers are that hard to find, right? So, back then there were a lot of business secrets, and it was really hard to start a business because it was hard to find the right information. Right now, right, after the arrival of the internet, all the information is online, right? Media is online, information is online. You can know anything by moving your thumb, right, and ask Google, right? Google has become the largest universities in the world without owning any content themselves or any professors themselves. So all the information is symmetric, right? It's perfect. You can know anything, right? If you need to know anything, anytime. And all the business secrets are melting away. It is much easier to start a company, right? When you start a company, you can research, right? What is a fully paid up? What is a partial paid up? How do you fundraise? How do you start a company? It's everything is online, right? So it's easier to start, a, a company in the internet century. You can know anything. You don't need to be an expert in anything. You just need to ask the right questions. That is the new skill sets of the CEOs. The new type of CEOs. You don't need to know everything. You just need to ask the right questions, and you can achieve. You can get the answers right away by moving your thumb. And this changes the values of customers also. It creates impatience. Very high expectation for customers. The new generation, the millennials, they don't even remember the website name anymore. That's how bad the impatient we are. We just search on Google, right, and we click on the first link. We don't even bother remembering the website's name, domain's name anymore. And if the first link that we clicked on is still downloading for more than 5 seconds, what would we do? We would go back, right, and click on the second link. Right? We cannot wait for 5 seconds. That's how impatient we are. When we are hungry, we just move our thumb. The food will be delivered at our doorstep within 30 minutes. Anything in Bangkok, right? So we can order anything. That's how impatient we are. When we need to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend, we just go into a Tinder app and we can meet, 100 people per day. That's how impatient we are. Technology is giving us instant gratification, and the values are changing, right? And if you were to start a company, right, in the previous generation, when people needs when we need some we need when we needed something, we would either drive on the road and see, right, all the different shops on the street, or we would walk into the shopping center and walk around and see what we were looking for. Um, but after the arrival of the internet, when we need something, what do we do first? When we need to find something that we want to purchase, there are three things that we usually do. We either search on Google, we either search on Facebook fan page, or we either line our friends, right, online. The first layer, right, free contact points. Are we putting our companies on the first layer? If not, then our competitors will not pass the customers on to us, right? So we need to put ourselves onto Google, onto Facebook, onto Line, right? Because that's where we think of when we need to purchase anything. That's the first action that we did. So the old assumption doesn't work. Right? And if you look at the second assumption, Eric said mobile devices mean anybody can reach anyone, anywhere, anytime. After Steve Jobs invented the phone, smartphones, he changes the way we do businesses around the world. Have you guys been around before the arrival of a smartphone? Nokia 3310? Snake game. I don't know if you guys remember the snake games. The analog phone. Um, before the arrival of a smartphone, the old assumptions of doing business was big fish eats small fish. You need to have as many branches as possible to get the biggest exposure, to control the market share, to be the price maker and not the price takers. That was the old assumption. But after the arrival of a smartphone, what happened to all the branches? Do we need branches to get access to customers? Not anymore, right? Facebook has become the largest companies, right? Even in Thailand, Facebook is one of the largest companies in Thailand. How many branches do they have here in Bangkok? 0, right? Because Steve Jobs puts a smartphone in everyone's pocket. 0 investment from Mark Zuckerberg, right? So Facebook doesn't need to invest in opening branches, but 70 million customers are on Facebook in Thailand. We have 70 million accounts on Facebook, right? Multiple accounts. So Facebook is able to achieve scale at a much faster rate because they don't need to opening up branches and decorations and hiring employees, right, to look after branches like Blockbusters. Everyone has access via a smartphone. Does Line need a branch in Thailand to operate, to get access to customers? 47 million accounts in Thailand. Line. Right? Because of the smartphone, right? It changes the way we do businesses. All the branches are closing down, all the bank branches, all the shopping malls are losing money. And even last year I was fortunate to meet a lot of CEOs, a lot of high profile CEOs in Thailand. One of the CEOs that I met was Kun Gopsak, Kun Chalermchai from CPO. You guys know 7-Eleven, right? He said, top, we are very worried, he said. This was last year. He said, top, I have been, expanding branches for 33 years, he said. 7-Eleven branches for 33 years. If you notice, every street, on every corner, there must be a 7-Eleven branch, right? Shop in almost every street in Thailand. They are a company with the most branches. And they managed to put in on every street, right? Within 800 meters, 500 meters from everyone's house, everyone's home. He said he's very worried. He managed to put in so much infrastructure for us already. We just need to walk out of our houses for 500 or 800 meters. But what he sees on the data is that we don't even want to walk out of our houses or condos anymore to get the drink at 7-Eleven. Do you know what we do? We just move our thumb, right? We don't even want to move out of our bed to get a drink ourselves. That's how lazy we get. Right? That's how impatient we get from technology. We go into Lineman, into Grab to order drinks, to get the drinks delivered in front of our door steps. You don't even want to move more than 500, 800 meters. So they are very worried. Do you know what 7-Eleven did already to transform their business? He said, that's fine. I managed to put in all the branches for you guys for 33 years, almost 20,000 branches in Thailand. That's fine. Don't leave your house. I will now deliver all the products in to your doorstep. Even 7-Eleven is, adapting. Are we not going to adapt, right? The largest companies in Thailand are adapting. The largest companies with the most branches are doing delivery now. Are we not going to change, right? We're in an era where the old generation would not understand the new generation, and the new generation would not understand the old generation. Latest, there's this survey, right? This survey that came up. What is the most painful experience for you, right? And one kid replied, the most painful experience for me is that I have to get out of my bed, press the elevator button down and collect my food at the lobby. That was the most painful experience. Can I not move? Is there anything that deliver food to my bed? That's the most painful experience. Right? If you were to ask, the previous generation, they would never understand. How is that painful? All you need to do is to move out of your bed, press the elevator button to collect the food at the lobby and go back to your room. How is that painful? Right? We don't want to move, right, anymore in a lazy economy. Do you know what is the shortest distance that we use in Thailand, that we use Line or Grab, Lineman or Grab? The statistics already came out. 6 meters. That is the shortest distance that we use Lineman, right? Grab. Are we serious here, guys? 6 meters. That's when you're standing in a ice cream shop and you put up your phone and get a lineman to get a bread next door. We don't want to move more than 6 meters. So if you need to think carefully, right? What is your next company is going to be? Is your next company going to force customers to move more than 6 meters? Because we don't want to move more than 6 meters. We need to think of a new way of doing businesses, right? Using our thumb. And the third assumption is the cloud computing, right? Cloud computing puts a superpower in your pocket. This is what he wrote. Back then, to start a company was very hard, very expensive. Back then, can we please turn off the microphone? Thank you. Back then, to start a company, you have to have a certain amount of money. But right now, after the arrival of cloud computing, you barely have to pay anything, right? Everything is on cloud. In the next few years, the internet would be coming out from the sky, right? Internet from the sky. Starlinks, Google Loon, Facebook, internet.org, right? Internet would be free from the sky, and all the tools, all the world-class tools would be on cloud. 8 billion people would be connected to the internet, and we would have 8 billion ideas, right? You would be competing with 8 billion entrepreneurs with the world-class tools, equal access, subscription-based model, right? So it is so easy to start a company in the future, right? In the near future. It is getting easier and easier to start a company. Right? As a result, barriers to entry. that stood for decades are melting away. You thought you have the monopoly power, but once the world is changing, right, the new bicycle already arrived. Dustin Stanley already showed us that we must change the way we believe, change our belief, change the way we think, to to be able to be the new winner of the new game. All the business assumptions are changing, all the environments are changing, all the barriers to entry are melting away with the new assumptions, new environment. And it all the new, since the previous entrepreneurs invested everything for us, they built all the infrastructure, the cost of doing business has gone down significantly. If you look in the year 2000, to start an IT company in America, you would have to have at least $5 million in your bank. You must be able to risk $5 million. But once we have open source, to start an IT company, you only have $500,000, 10 times cheaper, right, to start a company. 4 years fast forward, 2009, after we have cloud computing, the cost has gone down to $50,000, 10 times cheaper. 3 years fast forward, right, $5,000 to start a company. And we only have the data up to the year 2011, right? But 10 years fast forward, 2021, how much does it cost to start a company, guys? If in 2011 it was $5,000, and it's gone down 10 times every 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, exponentially. I can tell you the secret. I founded 2 companies already. I used 0 baht of my own money, 0 baht of my parents' money. I started 2 most successful companies in Thailand. Right? It is the most exciting times in the history of humanity to start a company. So I would encourage you guys, to start a company once you graduate, if you could afford to. If you're the lucky sperm club, right? Sorry to be a bit, impolite, but I was the lucky sperm club, right? My parents did not need money from me. I can risk, I can take risk. I can start a company, right? All the previous entrepreneurs already invested everything for us. I can use cloud computing, I can use mobile phone, I can use the internet. 0 investment cost to get access to customer. And even funding, right? I used 0 baht of my parents' money or my own money. After graduation, I did not have a lot of money to start a company. But in my parents' generation, you have to either go for debt financing, borrow a bank, borrow money from the bank, or you go lend share, with your friends, borrow money from your friends and family, but now you can do equity financing, right? Startup investment, VCs, venture capital fund, right? Angel investment. If you guys don't like equity financing, you can do ICOs, right? Initial coin offering via cryptocurrency, or you can do crowdfunding. Right? You can crowdfund from millions of people in smaller ticket size to start a company, or even the government is coming into the space to invest in companies. Sovereign fund. Temasek is the largest government fund in Singapore, right? So there are a lot of money around on the street, everywhere. Right, money is cheap now because the U.S. government is printing like crazy money. Everyone is seeking higher returns, right? And the point of this slides here is you need to start now, because there can only be one winner per industry. Amazon alone is larger than all of the other e-commerce in America combined. Other e-commerce sites combined. It is a winner takes all business. Right? Alibaba is a local winner for China. Amazon has to step back, right? Amazon is a local winner for America. If you notice one thing, Lazada and Shopee in Thailand, they are fighting hard, burning like 3 billion, 4 billion baht per year because there can only be one winner, right? We don't know who is going to be the winner yet in Thailand, but there can only be one winner. I don't know if you guys remember when Grab and Uber were fighting in Thailand. You guys know what Uber was in Thailand before? Has anyone used Uber? Where is Uber now? Right? There can only be one winner. Grab was a local winner for Thailand, and now there's the new contender, right? Gojek. Let's see who is going to be the winner, right? And I heard rumors of acquisitions. Facebook. Have you guys been around when High Five was popular in Thailand? High Five? Do you remember High Five? MySpace? No. Okay. I guess I'm very old already. High Five was a local winner, right? But after the arrival of Facebook, there can only be one social media company, right? Where is High Five now? Where is MySpace now? Right? Facebook is a global monopoly model. There can only be one winner for the whole world because of the network effects, right? Once you input a message, you expect someone to reply back. Right? But if everyone is in one network, you're not going to use another network, right? It creates a network effect. There can only be one Facebook in the world. They are a global monopoly model. Look at BitCup, for example. We are a local winner, right? There are 7 other companies, and the other companies are losing a lot of money. BitCup is making a lot of money, right? It's a winner takes all business. So the point is, start now, right? It's not the big fish that eats the small fish, but the faster fish that eats the slower fish, right? And with the arrival of big data, we're going to enter this smart fish eats dumber fish era soon. So it's a winner takes all. Right? We need to create a digital twin, right, of a second layer business. If any of your parents or family are doing a second layer business, product or services, think of how we can create a digital twin of your parents' business, because there can only be one digital twin per industry. For example, look at channel 3, channel 9, or television. You guys know YouTube, right? You must know YouTube, right? YouTube is the largest television company without owning any celebrities or without any TV programs themselves. But they have a lot more programs than channel 3, channel 9. Right? They are already the biggest channels in the world. They are the digital twin of the media company in Thailand. Facebook is a digital twin of newspapers business. Right? Grab, Lineman, Food Panda, or Lazada, Shopee is a digital twin of Central Group, the mall group, right? And they're losing market shares to digital twins. There can only be one winner. Right? So think of a business that can scale. It's a scalable and repeatable business. You need to build a 3rd layer, 4th layer, or even better, the 5th layer business in the future. Do not go into the 2nd layer or the first bottom of the food chain. That's the old type of business model. You have no market power. You are the price takers, not the price makers. Your profit margin is getting thinner because everyone can compete. Everyone can produce products. Everyone can produce services. But can you create another Facebook? You cannot create another Facebook, right? The network effect is interlocks. Can you create another WeChat? It's too late. You know what I've been saying in the last two hours. You know that 93% of the CEOs or the chief strategy officers, they understand that the world is changing rapidly. They know that their industry will change forever. 93% of the CEOs realize this, but only 3% has the courage to change. Human nature, right? We don't like change. Only 3% has the courage to change. What is more worrying is the last figure, 54% of the CEOs. They realize that the world is changing and their industry is about to change forever, but they also admit that they have no idea what to do. Can you please help? They said. Right? They have no clue what to do, what to act, how to change in the next 10 years. 54%, that is very worrying. What does that mean? That means if you walk out on the street, you can point 1 in 2 companies will disappear in the next 10 years. Right? 50%, that's more than half. With 54%, that is more than half. You can pick any brand on the street when you walk outside your house. 1 in 2 companies that you point would disappear in the next 10 years. Like Kodak, you guys have never heard of Kodak. You guys have never heard of Blockbuster. You guys have never seen a Yellow Pages. Right? All of the thought leaders said the same thing. Right? John Chambers, at least 40% of all businesses will die in the next 10 years if they don't figure out how to embrace new technology. Right? 40%, that's like almost half, right? 1 in 2 companies would disappear. You can pinpoint, that is a staggering numbers. But don't lose hope. Money only moves pockets, right? If the old economy are losing, their lifespan is getting shorter and shorter from 75 years to 7 years. It means that the new generation of companies are getting success much faster because money doesn't disappear out of thin air, right? Money moves pockets, right? So it moves pockets at a much faster rate. We just need to figure out where the transformational shift will be in the next 10 years, right? Every CEOs are saying the same thing. So we, so don't lose hope. The change is happening. There must be exponential winners and exponential losers for any change that is occurring in the next 10 years. I just realized that we have been, presenting for 2 hours already. Forgot to take a break. So maybe let's take a break. I know you guys are a bit, but let's take a short break so you can have your energy back to focus on the next materials. Let's take a 15 minutes break. Let's come back at 11:15, and we can wrap up. I will take another 15 minutes to wrap up everything, and we can have a 30 minutes Q&A, right? Okay, I'll see you guys in 15 minutes. Sawadee. Hello, everyone. Let's continue our second session. We have about 15 minutes left to wrap up everything before we have the last 30 minutes Q&A. Let me share you the screen. Yeah. So, in the next 10 years, please do not blink. I do not want you guys to blink because all the changes are happening at a much faster rate. You'll be surprised by how fast the world moves. So do not underestimate. A lot of people are underestimating how fast we move. And also we are having this crisis. We are lacking the, imagination to think big. Please, when you guys graduate, please think big and do not limit your imagination. We can achieve, much more than we think with the advanced technology that are coming out in the next 10 years. The old economy are losing their market shares at a much faster rate also, right? 75 years lifespan to 7 years. In the next 10 years, 40% of all businesses will die if they don't figure out how to adapt, how to embrace new technology. And changes are scary, right? People hate change. In human nature, we don't like change. So obviously, old companies are not going to be able to adapt or very hard to adapt. And this creates new opportunities for us, for the new generation, because money moves pockets, right? Money doesn't disappear out of thin air. Money moves pockets. So we must be able to create the next wave, right? The new transformational shift for the world going forward, right? And for the old companies, Jeff Bezos, when you guys have time, I would encourage to go and read all of his 20 years shareholders letters. Every year, Jeff would write a letter until this year. It was his last letter as a CEO. He stepped down as a CEO of Amazon. But in the last 20 years, he writes one letter per year. I would encourage you to go back and read 20 letters. You will learn so much about the way he thinks. You would be, it would be no surprise why he's the richest person in the world. And this is one of his saying. He said, if your customer base is aging with you as in your company, right? Your company is going to become obsolete or irrelevant. Right? As a company, you must figure out how to stay young forever. What is he trying to say? He said, if you want to survive fast fast changing world, you must be able to experiment, a lot of experiments. You need to encourage experiments, encourage failure, trying. You must stay young forever to find the new cash cow, to disrupt your old cash cows. Right? He said those that are working closely to him are those that are not working on the current projects, right? Not maintaining the Amazon's business. Those that are working closely to Jeff Bezos are the ones that are doing future, at least 2-3 years down the road projects. He said if this quarter in 2021, people came up to him and congratulate him on how well Amazon is doing, Jeff Bezos would be able to say that, oh, this quarter we baked it 2 years ago. That's how fast, right? He thinks forward, right? So you must be able to figure out constantly new values, new way of delivering your products to stay ahead of competition. Right? And when you guys graduate, how do we know how to innovate? How to find the next big thing, right? You do this by working backwards, because the ones that are deciding the winners and the losers are the customers. You need to understand your customers, the values that are changing, right? For example, people values things differently. In my generation, when we are the first jobber, when we collect the first payroll, right? What is the first thing that we go out and buy for Gen Y and Gen X? We used to buy cars or houses. That's the thing we treasure, right? But if you talk about the alpha or the millennials era generation, the first jobber, when you collect your first payroll, nobody is buying a car, nobody is buying a house. What do we treasure? We treasure freedom, right? We treasure experience. We pay for experience. We're not paying for things, right? We pay for travels. We pay to gain unique experiences. Values are different. Values of the customers are different. Gen Y is different from Gen X. It's different from Alpha. Different from millennials, right? So we must be able to figure out. Look at hotel chains like Hilton or right? Look at the Hilton hotel chain. They offer the same commodity, like comfort, same product, square, bedroom, same commodity. But what does Airbnb really offer? They're not offering commodity, right? Airbnb is offering experience. Democratize the experience. The ability to live in a castle without having $1 billion in your bank account, right? You can stay for a few nights. You can stay for a week at a hut in near a mountain top, near sea, beaches, without having to buy the whole land. Right? It democratizes the experience, and that is why Airbnb is growing so fast, because it delivers the values that the customers want in the new generation. Any businesses that allow freedom of information can do extremely well in the future. Any business that can allow freedom of properties can do really well in the future, will do really well in the future. And if businesses that allows freedom of values, moving freedom of money, will do really well, right? We treasure freedom, property, information, people. When people can move, property can move, flow of funds can move, then we can do really well. The point of this slide, what Jeff Bezos is saying is that when you innovate, when you create your invention, you must work backwards. You must see what the customers want. You go ask the customers, collect all the pain points. Then the next step is you do future PRs. Right? You don't go and produce right away. You don't go and make it in production right away. You do future PR. Imagine if your product is going to launch tomorrow. You need to write everything in one page, a one-pager. It allows you to debate, to think everything through, right? Then you go and produce in the third step, which is different from other companies. Other companies, the CEOs would go to the beach, right? And then they would imagine them on their own, what the customers want. On Monday, they would put up a war room and said, guys, this is what the customers want. Go and create, go and produce. And then the second step, they would say, go and marketing, right? Billions of dollars of marketing. And then the third step, when the product reaches customers, the customers who said, I did not ask for this, right? I did not want this. Right? That's usually the failure of most companies. So when you think, when you want to create something, make sure you understand the values of customers. And the values are not the same for every generation. Work backwards. Then you do future PR. Then you go and produce. Right. That is the Amazon approach. So, we have talked a lot. We have covered a different, a variety of topics and trends and assumptions, right? Just the last 5 minutes to wrap everything up. I am very excited personally. What is going to happen in the next 10 years? I think it is the best time in any generation to go out and start a company, right? In the next 10 years, everyone will get access to the internet. The largest economy in the world would be the internet nation. 8 billion people will be on the planet will be on the internet. And these people are entrepreneurs by design. They need to be entrepreneur to survive, right? But now they have the world, access to world-class technology via a cloud-based tools, right? They can get access to all the subscription tools on clouds, get access to the internet for free, internet from the sky. The economy would be much larger. Money would not be paper. Money would be programmable. Money would be digital. Everything would be digital. We can move the velocity of money, the amount of money creation after COVID is crazy, $1.9 trillion. We are going to see an unprecedented growth in the next 10 years. I can tell you, all the big companies that in the last 100 years, they would be nothing, right? In the next 10 years, what we can achieve in terms of wealth accumulation, in terms of the impacts. With the arrival of 5G, it will unlock new technologies like blockchain, AI, right? Big data, right? IoTs, right? Quantum computing would even be ready in the next 10 years. All the wealth accumulation, all the opportunities would be abundance. After listening to my talk for 2.5 hours, most of you would probably either be excited or lose hope, right? I would say don't lose hope. The world is much better than we think, right? That's the first point. The second point is we are underestimating how fast the world is moving. The first point is we are living in a much better world. The world is getting better and better each day. Do not lose hope. Imagine in the baby boomer era or Gen X era. Back then, we only had one thing in our head: how to survive, how to have enough food, right? For everyone, food production. How do we get enough food? How do we get the average lifespan of humanity to go beyond 30 years old, right? The average lifespan was 30 years old during the baby boom era. How do we stop losing lives from natural disasters, right? How do we, get children to be over 5 years old and not, losing their lives before that, right? 50% lost their life before they get up to 5 years of age. How do a mother not lose life from giving birth, right? How do we get enough communication? How do we get enough light? Back then, candles, we used to hand whale to produce candles, right? We did not have access to enough light, or communication was expensive. When the world advances, we have, abundance. It creates abundance of everything. Now we have electric light. We have enough lights. We have unlimited lights, right? We have enough food right now. The number of lives lost during the disasters has gone down by a lot. Not because the number of disasters has dropped. No, we have the same amount of disasters, natural disasters every year. But we have better technologies to warn humans, to prepare, right, to prevent disasters. The average lifespan of humanity is beyond 30 years of age right now, right? Most of the children live beyond the age of 5. The world is much better than we think. The world is getting better and better every day, so do not lose hope. And the second point is, do not underestimate how fast we move also. In the next 10 years, you would be surprised by how fast we move. So please decide which side of history you are going to be in. You want to be the exponential winners or the exponential losers is up to your mindset right now, right? You must be able to have the ability to unlearn the old assumption and the ability to relearn the new assumptions. It's going to be the most exciting era of our generation. I can tell you that. I am personally very excited. Do not blink, guys. Thank you. So now we enter the Q&A session. you have about 30 minutes to ask any questions. Feel free to raise your hands and turn on your speakers. I will answer as much as I can. We have a lot of hands raised already. How do we take turns? Do we have a moderator, or anyone just speak up, or how does this work in the previous session?
Okay, Mr. Jirayut, I will be selecting the questions for you. Is that okay, sir?
Sure, thank you.
Okay, sure. So if anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. Okay, we have firstly Kun Jirapat. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, please go ahead.
May I speak now? Okay, so may I ask about cryptocurrency? And firstly, good morning, Capital. So in your point of view, are there any like threat or problem of the cryptocurrency poses towards the financial sector, especially in Thailand? And like, does it have any effect on the fiat money? Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. That is a good question. Yes. So digital currency is a disruption in the financial sector, right? As we know, money in the future will not be paper-based, right? We're moving towards a programmable money, right? And no one can stop. Can we turn off the microphone, please? I can hear myself answering the question. Sorry. Can we turn off the microphone, please? Maybe it's the host. Sorry. So excuse me, can we please turn off the mic, please? So digital baht is. Can we please turn off the mic? I can hear myself. Sorry. Okay. So it's a good question, right? The world is moving forward, regardless of COVID or not, right? We will not be using paper money in the future. Money will be, programmable. Money will be digital, right? The biggest economy in the world will be the digital economy, and it doesn't function with paper money. Everything must be consistent, right? All the formats. The host, can you please turn off your microphone? Thank you. So same with everything. In the last 20 years, we were able to digitize all the information online, right? The way we communicate, the way we share information, publish information, or advertisement, everything is digital, right? And the reason why money would be digital is because the new infrastructure is ready. We call it the blockchain, right? Once we have a blockchain, it creates digital scarcity. Then the infrastructure, the environment is ready for disruption. We can digitize values going forward. Not only money will be digital, right? Everything around us with values will be digital. We call it tokenization. All the paintings, all the gold, we will have digital gold, digital diamonds, digital deeds, digital condo, right? Everyone would co-own the same condo at once, at the same time, via tokenization. One of the misconception is this. Right now we said cryptocurrency is another asset class. Right? Right now we say that cryptocurrency is just one asset class. We have bonds as another asset class. We have stocks as another asset class. We have gold as another asset class. But we are wrong. If you look at the internet, right? When the internet first arrived, people said, internet is just another channel. We have television as another channel. We have radio as another channel. But we were wrong. In the last 20 years, internet is not another channel. Internet is all channels, right? We have digital television on the internet. We have digital podcast, radio on the internet. Internet has become all channels, not another channel, and not another communication channel. Right now, people said crypto is another asset class. We are wrong again. Crypto will be all asset class. In the future, we can tokenize gold onto the blockchain. We will have digital gold, right? As one, right? Crypto-based product. We will have digital condo, right? Digital stocks. We can tokenize stocks, right? Tesla, Amazon stocks, right? Can be traded on BitCup as well in the future. We can tokenize deeds. We can tokenize diamonds into a crypto-based product. So in the future, every values will be a crypto-based product. Crypto is all channels in the future, including money, right? In the past, money was built on the assumption of the IOU system after 1971, right? The post-Bretton Woods era. We create money creation is based on the IOU system. We convert money to currency, promissory note, and we lift it away from gold. We do not pay dollar to gold anymore, right? In the last 50 years. If money is paper, then we have the upper layer as infrastructure, like money counting machines, ATMs that are built on paper money, ATMs. Then we have armor trucks to move money around. We have branches. But imagine if money is no longer paper based. All the upper layers must change, right? We do not need money counting machines. We do not need ATMs. We do not need branches because money is not paper. We can see a clear trend. The number of ATMs are reducing. Banks just came in to my office a month ago and they said they stopped paying for ATMs that are losing money anymore. Right? They're reducing the number of ATMs machines. They are reducing the number of branches. People are withdrawing less money on paper. We're using more and more digital money. And imagine if in the future, digital currency is a disruption. It doesn't develop on existing legacy system, right? Remember the difference between disruption and innovation, right? Digital currency does not improve incrementally on existing infrastructure. It changed the way we think. It changed the system from an IOU system to a logic, right? Mathematical system, right? Programmable money, right? In the future, money will be the law of mathematics. Right? We used to trust a Yellowstone gold, right, as money, gold standard. Then we used to trust our government, right, paper money, fiat currency, right, as money. In the future, people will trust the law of mathematics as the next money, right? If 1 + 1 = 2, nobody can cheat the system, right? The logic of maths. People will use digital currency if they trust the law of mathematics going forward. So once the money becomes digital, all the upper layer must change, right? We do not need bank branches. We do not need banks or financial institutions. We will have BitCup. We will have DeFi. Since money is digital, we have to build digital infrastructure going forward. So to answer your question, it's a candle versus electric light scenario here, right? The money system in the past were built on candles, right? And once the arrival of the electric light, the performance is an order of magnitude better. Is a disruption. Last week on the 5th of May, if I remember correctly, I was meeting with the Bank of Thailand, right? They are creating a digital baht. You're hearing this correctly, right? The Bank of Thailand is creating a digital baht. And by Q1 next year, there will be a prototype coming out. Right? So going forward, money is not going to be paper based. I can tell you that right now. Right? Even the Bank of Thailand is creating a digital currency. Right? So it's a very exciting, future. Thank you.
Thank you ครับ
Okay, so now we move to คุณ พิชพัฒน์ excuse me, sorry.
Hi. So how do you build your customer trust to trade the cryptocurrency as it is the new area for the Thai society?
Thank you. This is a very, really, really good question. Not just how to build the customer's trust, but what should you do when you first founded the company in the first few years? Most of us think in the same manner. As human, we act and we think in the same manner. But to achieve scale, right, you must think different and you must act different. What most people would think, let's do something that is scalable at the start. That is a conventional wisdom. But really, when you first start a company, you do things that you don't scale, right? It's better to have 100 people that love your product, right? Obsessed with your products. You build your fan base. You have 100 people that love your product is better than having 1 million people that are sort of okay with your product and don't really talk about your product, right? Focus on your first 100 people that obsessed with your product. Do things that don't scale. What I did in the last 3 years? I have been on stages, more than 1,000 stages in the last 3 years, as well as running a company. It was tough, but I had to build, obsessed, core, customers who really love, your product. I go from one community to another, one by myself, as a CEO, meeting face to face with every single customers physically. These are the things that don't scale, and you cannot achieve with technology to build trust one by one for more than 1,000 stages. I don't think any CEOs in Thailand would do this, right, in the last 3 years. But we built, hardcore believers, trust, right, in digital currency, in BitCup. And once the timing is right, the biggest, strongest marketing is the word of mouth marketing. That is the most intense, form of marketing, word of mouth. So you go from one community to another, make sure that your community is fully obsessed and love your product. Then you will, one person will tell another 1,000 people for you. That's how you grow, right? As a community, you go one by one, do things that don't scale. And, your fans would tell another 5 people around them, 1,000 people online, right? That's how you grow in a healthy manner. And once the timing is right, believe me, we cannot handle the customers on time right now. We have 30,000, 40,000 people applying every day for an account. We have 1,000 employees, right? And still not enough. We're looking for 250 more. And we have almost 2 million customers already, 2 million accounts, right? Last month, our website became the most visited financial websites in the country. Our apps, the second in every category combined, just losing to one app, more Chana, right? Then, we managed to beat Facebook, Line, and every other apps. So, to answer your questions, and I think it's a good advice for anyone. In the first 2 years, do things that don't scale. Make sure that you have 100 people that are fully obsessed and love your products. That is the strongest form of marketing. Go from one by one by one. Build one community to another. That's the best way to gain trust. Right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is by Kun Pandari.
Like go back to the time that you start your business about your cryptocurrency things, and what did you see in Bitcoin when other people don't agree and you keep fighting for this?
Thank you. Wow, this question, it would take me 30 minutes to answer this question actually. You know, every one of us is different, right? We are different from another 7 billion other people on the planet. And the reason why we are different is because of the books we read, the people we meet, the conversation we engage in, the events we attended, the experience we have experienced that form who we are, right? The uniqueness, unique us. Every one of us is different because we have different journey, life journey, different people we meet, different books, different events, you know, different experience that fully forms who you are and form a conviction about something. For me, I could not tell at the time, right? If I were to look back 10 years, even 20 years ago, I would have no clue why I read economics, right? I could not explain why I decided to take economics at school, at universities. My most favorite subjects in economics was the monetary history of the world. I get to see the evolution of money. You know, I know that money changes every 50 years. The way we understand and use money changes every 50 years. I got these insights that is unique from other people. That was my favorite subject. I went to Shanghai to work as an investment banker as my first job. That's when I discovered Bitcoin quickly, randomly on the internet in 2013. I remember talking to my friends, Darren. Do you know about this Bitcoin thing? Price went from $11 to $1,150. Darren did not bother, right? But I stumbled across a blog post called Why Bitcoin Matters, written by Mark Anderson. Right? I did not know who he was, but the timing was right. The internet we can pick someone else's brain, thought leader's brain, by just moving our thumb. And luckily, out of all the articles, I stumbled across a blog written by Mark Anderson in 2013. He wrote how Bitcoin is going to change the world. I got to see the other dimension about Bitcoin that nobody got to see, right? Mark Anderson, he was the first person that created browser, right? Netscape, sold it to Microsoft, became a billionaire, right? During his university time. Then he created the first cloud computing 10 years before Amazon does. Short story, he is the person that recognized new technologies as at least a decade before everyone else's does. And I got to see his thoughts on Bitcoin. And I was convinced. Plus my old experience about the history of money. I read economics at school, so I was able to understand Bitcoin easier than other people. I went to San Francisco to work for a bit. I met the ex-executive of PayPal, Dan Chat. He reconfirmed by my belief about Bitcoin. These small events, connecting the dots backwards. I met a few entrepreneurs in San Francisco, in the Philippines. A Bowie guy. I had the most expensive dinner of my life. I was helping Bowie with one small project called World Startup Report for 2 months. And it's actually for a few weeks, and for 1 month, I think. And then he said he was treating me for a dinner, farewell dinner, the most expensive dinner of my life. He said, "Top, I heard you graduated from Oxford, and you're about to start your new work in San Francisco." That was during my job transition during Shanghai and San Francisco. He said, "Top, you are 21, you are 23 years old. You can work 24/7 without getting tired. You're young, you have no family, no kid, no wife, no responsibility. You're a lucky sperm club. Your parents doesn't need money from you. Why don't you start a company?" And if you fail with your degree, you can walk into any company and they would gladly offer you a job with your Oxford degree. But if you take that flight to San Francisco and you get addicted to your job, and by the time you reach your 40 years of age, you probably have a kid, you have kids, have a wife, have a family, your parents are no longer here to give you moral support. Then you cannot really risk. You can't work 24/7 like you're 23 years old when you're 40. Right? You cannot hustle fully. And if you want to become an entrepreneur, your opportunity cost is much higher. It's not vice versa. But if you are become an entrepreneur now and you fail, you can walk into any companies and everyone will give you a job with your degree. That was the most expensive dinner of my life. I could not like fly to San Francisco like sitting still. Guess how long that job lasts in San Francisco, right? Only a few weeks. I could not stand like a consulting job. Flew back home and started a company, right? So these are like small events that form a conviction about something. Every one of us are different from 7 other billion people on the planet. So you must be able to arrive at your own conclusion about something. You must be able to find the important truth that very least people agree with you on, but it is an important truth. If you want to achieve extreme success, you must be the minority that is right about something, where the majority are wrong. Then you will achieve tremendous opportunity, right? Because you will have no competition, right? If you look at the past history, all of the world's, most, successful entrepreneurs, they were the minority that is right. If you want to move needles, you must arrive at something that nobody agrees with you, or very least people agree with you on. Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, these two guys created the whole industry, computer industry, operating system. They were the minority that is right. Jeff Bezos left his high-paying jobs to sell books on the internet. People thought he was crazy, right? Or even 10 years ago, Brian Chesky, he said, we're going to be sharing homes with strangers. What do you think people are going to say 10 years ago? Stupid idea. Who is going to be sharing homes with strangers? But Brian was right. He achieved extreme success. Airbnb, 4 times larger than Marriott, right? 10 years ago, there's this person traveling, right? We're going to be sharing cars with strangers. What do you think most people would say? Stupid idea. Who is going to be sharing cars with strangers, right? So in order to achieve extreme success, you have to be the minority that is right about something, where the majority of the people are wrong. To move needle, right? To move the needle. I am no smarter than my friends who graduated at the same time, but I was the minority that is right about Bitcoin, whereas the majority of the world was wrong about Bitcoin. It gave me tremendous opportunity. Right now, I'm 31 years old, and I'm going to create the first unicorn for the country. So it's not because I'm smarter than anyone, but because I was lucky that, because I can connect the dots backwards for my unique life paths to arrive at a conviction, and I stick through it. I stick with it. You have to have a very high pain threshold. If you were following my story, I would not do that again, right? It was a tough journey. I had fights with my parents. My parents wanted me to shut down the company. I got called in for an investigation with the anti-money laundering officers. Even the Bank of Thailand, called me in for an investigation. The RD, the Revenue Department, came and visit my company. They don't visit every company in Thailand, right? We're like this spotlights for regulators. And now with BitCup, we have this SEC visit, investigation. So, I mean, it's a tough journey, but I mean, to achieve extreme success, you have to be different. You can't be average, because if you do things in the same manner, then you would achieve the average result with everybody else's, right? We're all humans. We can do the same thing. To be different, you have to think different, act different, and be the minority that is right. Thank you.
Person with the question is คุณชุติการ Please go ahead.
The first one, after I read your background, I remember that you start your companies with the word Bitcoin. So I want to know why at that time you think Bitcoin will be powerful in the financial industry. And the second questions I want to know that in your experience, what is the biggest disruption in for the Bitcoin that you have faced and how you solve that problem?
Um, Thank you. So these two questions are kind of related to the previous question, right? How did I form a strong conviction about Bitcoin? It was via my unique experiences that I was able to connect backwards, right? I was reading economics at school. I came across a blog written by Mark Anderson, and now it's a classic blog, by the way. It's a New York Times article now, 10 years fast forward. I met with Dan Chat, executive PayPal. He said the original vision of PayPal was to create a digital dollar, right? They did not want to become a payment gateway, but the infrastructure was not ready in their time. No cloud computing, no smartphones, no internet penetration is not great, right? I'm the luckier generation. He said, we have blockchain, we have cloud computing, right? Bitcoin is going to change the world. And even in the blog post written by Mark Anderson, you said, Bitcoin can do micropayments. We can't even transfer 5 baht, 10 baht overseas with the existing financial players. It's not economical to do micropayments. With Bitcoin, you have this divisibility property. You can transfer 5 baht, 10 baht overseas. You can move money like you move information, globally, instant, frictionless. You can bank the unbanked with just a mobile phone and the blockchain. I was able to see the other insights, and I got excited with the potential of Bitcoin, and that is why I was convinced and stick through. And also by reading theories, you can only be convinced up to a certain point. You'll be more convinced if you actually try it out yourself. During one event that I was arguing with my parents, like really heavily, especially my dad. After I was called in by the Bank of Thailand and the anti-money laundering officers. So I showed him. Luckily, I'm the oldest brother, right? Oldest brother in the family. I had to transfer money to my sister in the UK, Pinan, right? I decided to use Bitcoin, and it took me 30 minutes to get money across from Thailand to the UK. Usually it takes 2 days, right, to get money across. I was able to do this within 30 minutes. And to get more money on that transaction, right, I made a 5% profit on that transaction. My dad was shocked, right? Usually you lose 5% of your money to remit money overseas. You have to pay for exchange rate or transaction fees to the bank. The first time in my dad's life, he could not believe his eye, right? I could get money across with Bitcoin to Pinan within 30 minutes, and she has 5% extra money to spend. I made extra 5% profit. So these experiences form a conviction about Bitcoin. And the biggest crisis, oh dear, I have so many crises. Even with BitCup, like more, I think once the company gets bigger and bigger, you face bigger and bigger crises, and you started to get used to it. You have a higher pain threshold, right? It's just another day, right? Another crisis. In the previous company, right, the first crisis was the anti-money laundering officers for investigation. Money laundering, how do we report cryptocurrencies back then? Another crisis was the Bank of Thailand. Are you creating a competing currency? What is this Bitcoin thing? I was called in for an investigation. Another crisis was the revenue department. How do we pay taxes with Bitcoin? Half of the employees left the company every time there's a crisis, right? I had to rebuild, rehire. Accounting crisis, has so many crises. In January this year, another crisis, right? everyone came to BitCup. We could not handle growth on time. 1,000% growth in 7 days, right? Who can grow 10 times in 7 days? I think we are the fastest growing company in the history of Thailand, right? So we had this infrastructure issues, the SEC investigation issues. There's always a crisis. At one point, the runway, I only had 2 months left for runway for BitCup. I think around at that time, 50 people were about to lose their jobs. 2 months left of money in the bank. There's crisis all the time. Now there's another crisis, right? So I don't know how to answer your second question. I see bigger crisis as the company grows, and it's as expected, right? We are creating more and more impacts, and the problems are becoming bigger and bigger as you grow as a company. Thank you.
Question. The next user is Kun Jidapha. Please ask Mr. Jirayut what you like.
Can you suggest me what is the first thing that I should know before start investing in the cryptocurrency, since it kind of like fluctuate every day? Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Before you get started, I would encourage you to have the right education first, right? So you have to know what is Bitcoin, how to open a BitCup account, how to buy, how to sell, what is a limit order, what is market order, right? To place the orders correctly, how to transfer Bitcoin, how to receive Bitcoin with your public key. You have to know what is a public key, what is a private key, how to keep your coins safe. So I would suggest you to have the right education first. All of the videos are online on the BitCup Academy, YouTube videos or Facebook page, to give the right education. Read up more on how blockchain works, and once you have the right education, you start create your own BitCup account. Actually, you create your BitCup account first, and then you go on education, because it takes 30 days now to get an account. So many people are lining up for the accounts. 200,000 people are waiting right now. The SLA is 30 days. So create an account first, and then go and study, learn about blockchain. It doesn't cost money to create a BitCup account. So create just like you're creating your Facebook account. You can create first. And once you have the right education, make sure that you're using the money that you can afford to lose, right? Because anything with investment or speculation has risk, right? And anything with high return comes with high risk. The volatility in this space can vary from up to like 20%, 30%, 50% per day. That's a normal routine. So make sure you have the right stomach to ride the volatility, right? It's different from the stock market, where 5%, 10% movement is already a lot, right? In the cryptocurrency space, 20% is normal day to day. Make sure you have the right stomach and the money that you can afford to lose, right? Because high risk, high return, and with the right education. I think these are the things that you should prepare first before you start investing or speculating in digital currency. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Jirayut, we're running late on time, but we still have more questions, so we would like to proceed with the questions. Next is Mr. Pacharanon, but we have to be really constrained about the answers and the questions. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. My question is that in the present we already have like a problem of old generation, like baby boomers or Gen X that having a problem adapt to the technology and change that happened in the past 10 years. And you say that in the next 10 years and even 20 years or even further than that, it's going to be much faster rate, faster rate changes. It could be change or technological change or something like that. But do you really think that we could keep up with that change? Because it's like that. For example, your example, Sandy, it took like 10 months to get used to his new bicycle, and if after 10 months that he gets used to his bicycle, and then after that, new bikes really come out in the market, and then he need to spend another 10 months to get used to the new one. So yeah, I think that at some point we might not be able to keep up with the changes. So what do you think about this?
Sure. And that is why we come in, right? The new generation. Our responsibility is to push the world forward. AT&T cannot create Facebook, right? Taxi company cannot create Uber or Grab, right? They have all the resources they need. The candles industry cannot create electric light. we must, the new generation must push the whole technological frontier forward, because we don't need to unlearn. We are the Sandy's son, right? The less than 5 years old. It took us 2 weeks to ride the new bike because we never know how to learn how to ride the old bike. It's cool. The old, I mean, change is hard. Like human are afraid of change and despise change and dislike change. But it is the most important thing. It creates new opportunity, right? Makes room for the new, right? I mean, there will be some that are able to adapt and change, but I would say very few. And the next 10 years, the new wealth creation would be coming from the new generation, the new entrepreneurs, not the old entrepreneurs. And the new wealth generation, wealth creation in the next 10 years would be more than what we have accumulated in the last 100 years, because the world is moving in an exponential manner. We're about to take the last 5 steps. That accounts for 96% of all the changes. 25 steps. The first 25 steps didn't matter, right? Alipay took them 6 years to become larger than Goldman Sachs. Like Tesla, 17 years, bigger than any car companies combined, right, in the world. In the next 10 years, there'll be the arrival of blockchain, AI, big data, IoT. The new entrepreneurs must be able to combine different expertise of different technologies together and redefine business models for the future. Build an operating system, build an ecosystem, build a platform business. The old generation cannot do that, right? They already learned how to ride the old bicycle. It's hard to change. And that's why we have more exponential losers than exponential winners. But we need to just, as new generation, we need to push. We have the responsibility to join the new economy, to create new things, to be on the right side of history, to be the exponential winner, because we never learn how to ride the old bike, right? We just come out from universities and ride the new bike right away, right? New assumption, new values of the millennials. We understand alpha, right, generation better than the previous entrepreneurs. I'm sure within the next 10 years, almost every country would have a debate on the universal basic income, right? What about those who cannot change, right, or resist change? How are we going to look after those people? I mean, in the next 10 years, there'll be an obsessive debate on universal basic income for those exponential losers. And I think universal basic income is a good thing. It allows a cushion for us to fall on, right? Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, but some cannot afford to fail. Not everyone is in a lucky sperm club like me, right? With the universal basic income, people can experiment, people can become an entrepreneur. Everyone will get access to the internet, and all the world-class tools would be on cloud-based. We will have 8 billion more ideas, 8 billion more businesses, and everyone can afford to fail on a cushion with universal basic income. And also to look after those who cannot change, right? Going forward. Don't lose hope. I think the absolute poverty is getting less and less. We are living in a better and better world. We are achieving abundance more and more in every aspect of our lives. We have more chocolate now. We have more ice. These things used to be access to only to the richest, but now it's abundance. We have communication, more access to light. Absolute poverty is declining. Average lifespan of humanity is more than 30 years. We have no issue with food scarcity. But another thing, the absolute poverty is declining, but the relative poverty is getting worse and worse, right? Between the exponential winners and the exponential losers. Those who understand technology would get massive rewards going forward. And I mean, it's up to us now, right, to push Thailand, away from the middle income trap in the next 10 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. If you haven't raised your hand yet, please, we are going to limit to the amount of hand that has been already raised because we're running late. Next is Ajahn Nantana. Please go ahead.
สวัสดีค่ะพี่หน่อยนะคะ We were together at commission competition. Thank you for your time. We very appreciated that you can make it today. I know how busy you are ค่ะขอบคุณมากจริงค่ะ Okay, first of all, I feel like I'm listening to a bedtime story that's very exciting. I don't want my dad to end the bedtime story. I want to know more, and please don't stop telling me the last 5 steps. So thank you very much for educating me as well. So I learned a lot from your class. Okay, Top, I know that your company is recruiting a lot of newcomer. So first question is, could you share some tips for the new generation, for our students? What would be the key traits that you're looking for the new generations? That's the first one. And my second question is, what would be your next move? I know that there's a lot of people want to buy your company already.
Sure.
Okay, so what would be your next business, or how would you adjust Big Cup in order to be better and better? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right now we're at a 1,000 people company in 3 years and 4 months. We've been growing at 1,000% every year since the inception of the company. And now we're recruiting 250 people more, 250 more employees within this year. And the traits we're looking for in the candidates is, it's not an IQ, it's not an EQ, but it's the AQ, right? The adaptive quadrant, the ability to unlearn the old assumption and relearn the new assumptions. And that's why the average age of those 1,000 people in my company is 30 years of age. That's the average age of the whole company. We are a very adaptive company. We challenge the status quo. We challenge the way we do things. We challenge the way companies work. We set up the companies differently. If any of you have seen the videos of my company, we even have beds, right? Nap room. We have snookers. We have a massage room. We have food, breakfast, lunch, dinner at the company. We even have food panda credits, right, for those working at home. Right now, everyone is working from home. We are a digital first. We are a remote first company. Right? No one needs to really be at the office. And we're using at least 50 applications to help with the way we work. Applications like Discord, Slack, LastPass, Intercom, MailChimp, Repuso. there are 50 other applications to help us work smarter. Excel and Microsoft Word are like the last apps that we use in the companies. So we are very innovative, and we treasure AQ most, to learn new things. And especially we're a very new company. We challenge a lot of status quo and the way the world works. And we really believe that if we take actions every day, we can really change everything around us, right? The candidates that come and work at BitCup are those that they don't believe in average life. They don't stay in a box and live an average life, and don't believe that they can change things around them. We believe that everything around us were created by just all the humans, right? No longer, not much smarter than us, right? We can influence everything around us if we take action every day. That's what the candidates we're looking for. And also to have a very high pain threshold, right? This is what the new generations are lacking. We don't have a lot of patience, right? Especially when the technology is giving us a more convenient life, lazy economy, right? We want to get this instant gratification. When we want to have a girlfriend, boyfriend, you just go into a Tinder app and you can meet 100 people per day. That's not in our parents' generation. Could you have imagined, right? You cannot meet like 100 people per day. When you are hungry, you can move your thumb and food would be delivered to your house within 30 minutes. It gives us this instant pleasure, and we have less pain handle threshold. We must be able to handle more pains to be different to the average, right? To stand out, you have to have a very high pain threshold, and that's what we are looking for at BitCup as well. Believe it or not, right? We're working really, really hard. We did not take holidays in the last New Year, Christmas. We worked during Christmas. We worked during New Year. We worked during Songkran, right? So most of the candidates cannot stand BitCup probably if you come and work with us, because we are blitz scaling. We are scaling 1,000% per year. One day at BitCup is not the same as one day at another company that grows 5% per year, right? So you must be able to handle a lot of pain, and also be able to adapt quickly. But if you're able to achieve those two, and the belief that you can change things around yourself, the rewards at BitCup is also much higher than other companies. You are changing the world. You're leaving a legacy for Thailand, for the country. You're the first team that are creating the first unicorn, right? You can achieve things that money cannot buy at BitCup, and that's what we're looking for. One Kunpon Nucha asked, we also have an internship program. We have around 60 interns right now in the company, and interns are coming from all over the world. So we had one intern from HBS, Harvard Business School. We used to have 2 interns from Cornell University, from Warwick, from Imperial College London, and also from every Thai university. So you have new friends. You'll be making new friends. You engage in a community. You do exciting work. Feel free to apply. But bear in mind we have a lot of candidates. I think we have more than 10,000 CVs right now applying to BitCup. Everyone wants to work at BitCup for some reason right now, or applying. HR is very busy. Right? In one Saturday they interviewed like 300 people. Walk-in interview. So it's a very exciting company. For the next phase, to answer your second question, to be honest, BitCup would be making around 3 billion or 4 billion baht in revenue this year, with an 80% profit margin. So the net profitability of BitCup would be around maybe 3 billion baht. If we were to times that by 10, right, a multiple of 10, PE ratio of 10, that would put a BitCup at a unicorn status already, a 30 billion baht company, right, a $1 billion company. But usually a company that grows 1,000% per year, we don't usually times it by 10 multiple. The market cap of BitCup is much larger. So I don't think any other companies can buy BitCup right now. We're too big. The only company that can buy BitCup is maybe PTT, right? So even if I want to sell BitCup, I don't know if anyone can afford to buy at this market cap valuation. But I don't think I want to sell because it's good company, very good company. The cost doesn't scale with the revenue because we're a software business. No capex, no opex, very high ROE, high ROA, very high profit margin, and it's a monopoly business because there can only be one BitCup per industry per country. Winner takes all. Right? We are the digital twin of the financial space. We are the platform business, and there can only be one platform business per country, per industry. So I don't think I want to sell BitCup to answer the first question. And the second question, what are we going to do next? We have so many exciting projects we're pushing to launch. We are disrupting the entertainment business next. We're creating a digital stock exchange to transact intangible assets like intellectual properties, celebrity reputation, action of the celebrities, like your favorite singers sing happy birthday songs for your birthday. You can monetize this now. We are entering the gamification business also, the e-sport businesses, and we can do money transfer with digital currency. We can tokenize everything around us, like digital gold, digital stocks. We're partnering with real estate companies to tokenize condos, to change the way we invest in real estate. There's so much more we can do. We are creating a BitCup black card, a digital card made out of metal, really like lucrative card that you can cash out at any ATMs, pay at any shops for your coffee, but you can top up with digital currency. All the ideas and product roadmaps, there's a long list that we want to do. I think BitCup could be the company that create the most impact in Thailand in the next 10 years, if we can go through this point, and if we can ace this year and become a unicorn. I think in the next 10 years we would be one of the biggest company in the country and make the most impact to a wide variety of industries in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
To Mr. Jirayut. There are still a couple more questions. However, we have run out of time. Is there any context that the students can ask you privately, Mr. Jirayut? Perhaps your email or Facebook or anything else that they can ask you? Because we have 10 more students who would like to ask you, but we've run out of time.
Sure. Let me type my email to the panelists. Also, I have a Facebook page. So you can email me at top@topjirayut.com, right, for all the questions. Or you can follow me on Facebook fan page, Top Jirayut Official, right? You can search this on Facebook. The page has about almost 700,000 followers now, almost 1 million followers. It's a page that gives out new information for the new world, right? For the Thai people. We would educate about people about what is cloud kitchen, what is social banking, we talk about new things like digital currency. We don't talk about stocks or the old economy. You can follow the page, and most people ask questions on that page, Facebook. You can follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, follow me on YouTube. We have more than 500 videos on YouTube. You can watch and get ideas and inspiration from Top Jirayut Official. Same domain. You can search this domain from almost every social media channels, right, and ask questions. I already typed them on the panelist chat box.
Okay, we see
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jirayut. And we have one final question, which is very important. This question is from the Ministry of Commerce. So if everyone from Mahidol could please listen, and if you could answer this question from the Ministry of Commerce, Mr. Jirayut, as our final question of the morning session.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you, Kuntop, for joining us and sharing your experiences today. I have two last questions actually. The first one is, I heard that your company is now recruiting about 250 positions. And what are you looking for from the people who want to join your team? Not just they should have EQ, IQ, or AQ, because I believe that all the students here today, they would like to have that chance for sure. And another question is about the internship that someone already asked. And could you please consider hiring some internship from this project? I mean, from Gen Z to be CEO. Thank you.
Sure. Let me answer your second question first. There are a lot of candidates applying, and even my mom and my friends send their people they know to me every day. But usually I'm not the one who selects the candidates. We go through obsessive process of interviews. First one, we do the hard skill interviews. The second interviews, we do the soft skill, the mindset, the culture. The culture team would take the interviews. The third interview would be the bar racer team, right, to make sure we hire bigger people to become a bigger company. Because companies, what is a company? Company is a group of people coming together, right? But if we want to have a great company, we have to have a group of people. So please apply, right? Please prepare and apply and study well and about the company. Make sure you get a chance to interview, right? Make yourself stand out. But I cannot guarantee the results because there are a lot of people applying, 10,000 candidates. And I'm not the one selecting. Each team would select their own team members. And for the first question, so we look for AQ, the ability to adapt to change, because we're doing very disruptive things, right? Totally new things. Nobody in Thailand is doing what we're doing. Then for AQ is very important, and you will have to master 50 applications or change the way you work entirely once you work at BitCup. And you get addicted to the way we work because it is much more efficient than the old ways, right? We leverage a lot on technology, and a lot of pain also because we have this ownership and beyond mindset. We're not an average player. We commit and we go beyond. We don't believe in like work-life balance. If you were to invite Flash Express, another unicorn, right, of Thailand, hopefully by the end of this year, they are working at a 996 manner. Have you heard about 996? Like the Chinese. 996 is when you work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 9 right? 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days per week. The founder is doing 997. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days per week. So really, to change the world, you cannot be average. You have to really go beyond. At BitCup, we didn't take Songkran holiday, right? We did not take Christmas or New Year holiday, and we can't because customers are like complaining about getting their accounts, because we're experiencing 200,000, pending accounts, 1,000% growth. Not a lot of companies have the lucrative opportunity to blitz scale. We're one of the very few that can blitz scale, right? A company with a lot of profit margin and experiencing a lot of growth. So we're not optimizing for expenses. We're optimizing for growth, and we overspend because we have a high unit economic, we have high profit margin. We're blitz scaling. We're companies like Facebook, Uber, they can blitz scale, right? So it's a very exciting place to work. So make sure we look for outstanding candidates. Like you have to stand out. You have to you have to be good at something more than average. If you're not good at something that are beyond average, make sure you have a high pain threshold, more than average, right? Because we can train all the hard skills. We can train you, but the difference is the mindset. You have to have the right mindset. Once you can handle a lot of pain, you can sacrifice. Then after 1 year at BitCup, 2 years at BitCup, you'll be a different person. You'll be different. Like at Oxford also, my experience is all the outstanding students there. I was reading for 10 to 12 hours every day, 7 days per week, for 5 years straight, no holidays. Even Christmas, I did not go back home to meet the family. The warmest time of the year, I was walking through snow to the library to revise every day. All the top, all the world-class students, they revise like 10, 12, 13, 14 hours every day. That's why they're different. They're able to sacrifice and handle pain. Nobody in my life that achieve extreme success are chill, right? In my experience, all the top footballers, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, they train harder than other players. All the best musicians, they train a lot. They don't just have the talent, but they also put in a lot of hours and work, and they focus on what they do. So these are the unique skills or traits that we're looking for in a candidate, right? And most important thing, the mindset, the ability to believe that once we take action every day, we can change the world. We can change everything around us. Even the law, the regulation were created by older human, right, who did not know better, right? We have to move the world forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
ขอบคุณค่ะ
Okay, thank you very much to Mr. Jirayut for answering all the questions and, of course, answering the Mystery of Commerce question. For any students who have any questions, you can contact Mr. Jirayut at the email that he left for us, or follow his Facebook as well. He has his own YouTube channel as well. So thank you very much. And today we would like to thank you, Mr. Jirayut. ขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณทุกคนครับ Thank you everyone. Take care. Good luck ครับ
All right, now it's time for your lunch break, and we will come back at approximately 1 p.m. 1 p.m. So please enjoy your lunch break for half an hour, and remember, everything that we taught are the 3 E's. First one is English, because that is a tool for communication, and that is something that everyone's using right now. Second is e-commerce. That is the channel to sell your products. And third is exporting. That is the way to bring revenue into your company, into your family, into yourself. So these are the 3 important E's. And next up, we will talk to a successful exporter who has been there before, and he has used e-commerce, English, and of course exporting as his tool to success. And now he has a multi-million-dollar company, and soon to be a billion-dollar company, because he is selling Thai-ness to the world. And that is something that is being accepted worldwide as Thai-ness. Right now, Muay Thai has become the #1 mixed martial arts in the world, surpassing Kung Fu, Taekwondo, Karate. It's absolutely amazing to see all the Muay Thai camps around the world, whether it's in United States, Canada, Brazil, England, Russia, China, Japan, the People's Republic of Korea as well. Not only that, Thai massage is also known around the world as the most traditional and relaxing massage. Apart from that, Thai food, Thai culture, Thai clothing, Thai fabric, Thai culture. So next up, we will hear from a success exporter. Please enjoy your lunch break and we'll see you soon. Thank you.